Hello, welcome to the Wasting Time podcast. I'm your host, Chris. I'm giving you a solo intro today. We have so much going on at the minute, and we wanted to try and get together to record a couple of intros, and it just wasn't possible. So you're just going to have to put up with me flying solo. So for that reason, I will keep it short. So for this episode, I spoke to Collin Walsh, who's the frontman for Grayscale, who have just put out their new single, Summer Clothes. And by the time we release this, the video should be out as well. We were lucky to get in advance of that. Video's a fun watch, so do check that out. And when I spoke to Collin, they just released the song Mom 2, which is a very personal song to him, as you'll hear from the interview. So I appreciate him being very open about that. There's going to be a new record coming from the guys soon, so keep an eye out for that. So I think let's just jump into this. I didn't realize, but like just before jumping on this call, so at the time of us speaking, is your video's premiering right now?
Yeah, it's true. But that's all right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
You sure
all right.
you're right to be here? Because like in your shoes, man, I've been wanting to see what the comments are and stuff. So I appreciate that you're giving me some time while that's all kicking off.
No, it's all good. The boys will handle the YouTube premiere, and I'll jump on if there's time after. It's all good. No sweat.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, all good. So where are you right now?
I'm just at home in Philly. Just kind of just hanging. We just got home from tour recently, so I'm just enjoying the quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, nice. And what does home life look like when you're not on the road?
It's a lot. Like I spend a lot of time just like at the gym. I try to read. I try to spend time outside when the weather's good in Philly. We all live like in a it's a close area to each other, like right in and outside of Philly. So we're always, we're not writing music right now because we just finished doing a record, but we'll probably get on that train again soon. Once everybody's
Okay.
kind of slept for a couple days after tour. But
Speaking of tour, so you just came off the road with Small Balls.
yeah, it was
How
cool.
did that go down?
It was great, man. It was awesome. It was one of those tours where I feel like their crowd's a little more pop leaning, and ours is like, it's funny. Grayscale, like especially recently, was a lot of the bills we've been on, a lot. They're kind of mixed bills, or they're with bands where generally, they're a little more pop leaning. Like it's
Yeah.
like we found ourselves recently touring where we're like the heavier band on the bill, and we're not a
Okay.
heavy band by any means. So it's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
sure.
But it was the same thing with Small Pools. It was like, there was this opener, The Romance. There was rotating second of four, a lot of really cool bands and singer songwriters, and then we rotated with Small Pools, and it was funny. It was being kind of the heavier rock band on the tour again,
Yeah, of course.
but it was great. They're great people. We shared a bus with them, which was fun. So it was madness the whole time. But we had a great time. It was amazing.
Nice. Did you know them beforehand?
Yeah, we have this little. So Mike from Small Pools used to live with some of the guys in the band Third Eye Blind, Colin and Cap from Third Eye Blind. I write with
Wow.
Colin from Third Eye a lot. We've written like a lot of songs together, and we're like
Really?
good friends. And yeah, so those two are roommates. They don't. I don't think they live together anymore. They actually, Colin and Mike might. I'm not sure. Girlfriends. I'm not sure where everybody stands, but so it's just like this little love triangle between the three of us. And like I'd stay at their house, and I met Mike, and yeah, it just worked out where it made sense to do the tour together. And it was amazing. It was awesome. We really really enjoyed it.
I've had their song Swayze on repeat for
Yeah,
years now. That's
so
that's a
good,
bit of
man.
a tune. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're good
yeah.
live.
They're such good songwriters. They're great live. They're really good live. Yeah. I feel like we really pride ourselves on being like a well-rehearsed live band. And oftentimes we're very like confident about, our live performance. And they were definitely one of those bands we watched and we were like, damn, this band is like great live, which is
Nice.
so fun to watch. Yeah.
Good to hear. But we're not here to talk about Small Paws and their recent release. Let's jump back into Grayscale world. So Mum 2 came out. So you purposely, it was released on Mother's Day, and the Mother's Day is different to in the US to over here. But was that the weekend just gone or the weekend before? Remind me.
It was just Sunday. It was so three and a
Just
half,
Sunday
4 days
gone.
ago. Yeah, correct. Yeah. We just wanted it just felt appropriate. It was a little obviously different. I know Friday's the day that most people release, but we
Of
just kind
course.
of were like, we're gonna let this like just the sentiment of the song and what it means to me
Yeah.
personally and all of it. And it just kind of felt like the right thing to do. It kind of made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And obviously, such a personal song. Did it feel? I mean, how did it feel putting it out there? Like, I mean, obviously following the song back in the day, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
journey that you've had, and
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think that was one of the most, I think it was the most important song that I've ever written for me on a personal level. And I think the guys too,
okay,
like, I mean, I've grown up with them since I was, we've known each other since we were 13, 14 years old. So they've been in my
yeah,
life like as much,
yeah,
I can remember more of my life with them than without them. And like they've been through everything. We've lived together for so many years. We still are with each other almost, every day and tour together. And we're been best friends since we were kids. So it's like they know every part of that story and they've been through it. So writing this Mum too, this kind of follow up to the first version, Mum was it was just an amazing experience that we all had. And it was honestly the weirdest thing. Like some songs, it'll take days or weeks or months of coming back and like whatever, like, oh, I don't know. And like,
yeah,
let's try this. Let's beat our heads into the wall for this. But that song, man, like it really was, and it sounds so cliche, but it was this crazy, like magic day that we had where I remember we wrote that song from start to finish. I already had the lyrics written in like a poem. Like I had them kind of
okay,
laid out in like words, but as far as the instrumentation and the throwing like a first draft of the melodies down, I'm not exaggerating. We probably wrote it in like we probably had the first draft done in like 45 minutes to an hour, which is something
really,
that swear to God, it's we've never come close. Any other song is minimum like hours in the studio, hours trying to figure out blah blah melodies and little words here and there and some placeholder guitar parts, but there was something about that day and I don't remember which day it was, like specifically
yeah,
sometime last year when we wrote it, but it was just this, we still talk about it, like it was this really strange thing, how quickly it came together and how like natural. And we've written hundreds of songs together, we've never had an experience like that, so it was a really cool thing, a really important personal song for me. It was very, very cathartic, but also very, took a lot of like vulnerability for me. I'm not like a huge social media person at all. I've been very like kind of like, yeah,
yeah,
anybody who knows me knows that I'm like kind of vocal about it. And like I'm not, I never feel the point of like constantly talking about on social media how I'm not about social, like huge into social media. It just seems like, well, then why are you here talking about it? Like I never want to be
yeah,
that guy, but
yeah,
it's just something where it's like it's something important, and I feel it's like, just to spread like, news and awareness, anything about our band. And of course, like it's important and vital now, of course, in 2024. But um, yeah, it just was. I think I hit this stride for this record that we're writing now, where I was like, while social media isn't my favorite thing, it's like it is a good, with the way that this record we're writing now is the lyrics, the story, it's so storytelling based. Like so much of the songs are
okay,
so storytelling oriented, which in the past the records and songs have been, but I feel like, there's a lot of poetry in them and a lot of like colorful sort of lines in the past. And we still have those, but I think there's such an emphasis on the storytelling on this record. And um, I think with that song, I was just like, it took a lot of vulnerability. I feel like to put it out and have like the visual components along
yeah,
with it. It definitely was a little out of my comfort zone, but I think knowing how important the song was to me and how I think it would, affect people who have had a similar experience to me. It was like I just I'm going to deal with how uncomfortable and how kind of wide in the open it is, and that's art, man. That's like what it's about, and that's why we do it. So
yeah. It's so raw and so honest. The
yeah.
lyrics or the poem that it came from. Does it have had you had a chance to get your mum's reaction to it at all?
Yeah, I have. We actually posted a video like later in the day yesterday. I actually showed her, and our videographer Jacob came and he kind of hid in the other room and had like a little hidden cam of me like actually showing her the song, which was not, that's kind of back to like what we were saying a second ago. It's not really something I normally would do. Like that's kind of
Yeah,
a private moment. Normally I would keep to myself, but it was something where I was like this, I think there's a whole story here, this whole record. There's so much storytelling in about it. It's like I might as well, um, even though it's a little out of my comfort zone a little, it's like I want to show people, I want to show like, you know, the full thing, So that's, yeah, I showed her and it was, you can watch on her Instagram. She cried a bunch. I cried. It was a special moment for sure. And I'm glad we captured it. It's kind of like, when you go on vacation, you have that one friend or you go on vacation with somebody that's always has a camera. And it's
Yeah.
like I'm not the one that takes pictures on vacation, but every time you have a friend that does, you look back and you're like, man, I'm happy you were there. Took all these photos. We can look back on this stuff. But that's kind of the way I've been looking at it. That, yeah, for sure.
And like from the fan base in the wider world, I know it's only been like 3 days, but have you managed to gauge what the reactions been?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, overall, it's just been it's been unbelievable. And I, like, I feel like there's the OG Grayscale fans that know the full thing with the first version of the song, and then there's
Yeah,
the newer fans too. And I think there's been an unbelievable reaction from everybody combined, old and new. And it's yeah, it's awesome, man. It's a really special song to me, and it's one of those ones where it's like I'm writing it, but like I need to get this out. This is like a feeling I have like on a personal level, like where
yeah.
you know, emotionally, like I need to get this out of my system and put it on paper and make a song out of it. And then to see people react to it the way they did is like obviously so meaningful. And the support and people coming out and being like, thank you for your thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for this. Like my parent, I had this relationship with my dad and my mom, and I wish I forgave it. Like all these really deep things. And
Yeah,
um, it's just me. It's why we love music, man. It's like I'm thankful for the fans we have. They're super, they're so engaged and they're so into like all the stories and all of it. And it's like very thankful, very lucky.
I suppose you must be like looking forward to kind of moving forward with the album now that this is out. And I definitely want to talk a little bit about how you're approaching this new record. But to get there, if it's cool, man, like, can we just give like a super quick walk through your history just to kind of, I just want to understand like how you've kind of transitioned into the band that you guys are today. So I guess you said before that you've known the other guys since you're like 13 or 14. So you
Yeah, yeah,
all grew up in Philadelphia, I presume.
yeah, yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And at what point did this band kind of form?
So I mean, we've been like messing around in our the basement together, like as kids, like for
Yeah.
so long. And then somewhere around 2016, 2017 ish was when like we had been working with the name Grayscale since like 2011, just playing in basements. Like then we went to, in high school, and then we went to college, and
Yeah.
it was somewhere in like the mid part of my college career where Grayscale got like a management and label deal and booking agent. Like that all came very quickly for us. We just kind of grew up playing, opening like the local shows in the Philly area, like us
Yeah.
us as a band, just growing up here. And then eventually it just kind of clicked and became obviously like a full-time active thing around like 2016. We signed to Fearless Records, and
Yeah.
that was like our first full-length record. And then put out 3 records with Fearless. That was the length of our deal. And it was wonderful. They're great people. We had a great time. It was a great like partnership. And now we're in a really amazing place where now we put out the Not Afraid to Die. The first later in the year last year we put out the first single, and it had been a long time because we put out Umbra, our third record with Fearless, in 2021. It
Yeah.
was like COVID and everything. It just
Yeah.
was like it just
Was
felt
that a
weird.
straight? Yeah. Sorry. You're answering
It
my
just no,
questions already. Yeah. Yeah.
it just felt weird. It was like our second record, Nella Vita, kind of the cycle sort of got cut short with COVID, and then you put out your third record in COVID. You can't really tour on it. Or you get one tour, then some variant comes out, and everybody goes back in lockdown. It just was like this exhausting thing. I think for everybody, obviously. And there's so many worse things that happen to so many people during COVID. So I don't want to sound,
Of course.
like but yeah, I think it just was a lot of time spent. Our third record, Umbra, the last one with Fearless, was sort of pretty much done before the thick of COVID. So a lot of the time in COVID, we had time sitting and spending with each other when it was like when we knew it was safe to write together. We spent a lot of time writing, and that there's songs all the way from back in the latter half of COVID to now that are on this record that's coming up. Like we just spent a lot of time like
That's cool.
really digging in and writing music that we really loved. And there's definitely this I feel, and I know the guys do too, that what we're putting out now is like it's something we've been working towards for a long time sonically. It took a long a long time to really get it to where we wanted it. And we're feeling really good about it. It feels like the most authentic version of us we've ever had before. And it's a really like, good, freeing feeling.
How do you feel about the stuff you were doing when Fearless first came on board? The more kind of, whatever you want to call it, straightforward pop punk, pop rock kind of stuff that it sounds very different to what you do now. Do you try and separate from that, or do you embrace it and know that it's part of the journey?
I think I just embrace it as part of the journey. I think it's not, I think and I think our fans know this, of like what we're putting out now is like something we've been working towards. And I think like that's not like that scene of music is not something that like any of us really listen to. It's not really something we're like actively involved in, and that's that's fine. It's like it was how we cut our teeth. It was such an important part of our journey. It's just something that like we really love like classic rock and the Beatles and 90s alt and Oasis and like all those like old British rock bands. So it's like a lot. I just think we're in a really good place artistically now, where it feels like we have the tools that maybe we didn't have when we were teenagers and early 20s to now be able to really like articulate the art the way that we really love and want it the most. So yeah, it's been good, man.
Speaking of 90s bands, you mentioned before that you do some writing with some of the guys in Third Eye Blind. Is that how did your relationship with them come about? And when you say writing, do you write for other artists and other stuff?
I have in the past. I have written for other artists in the past, but that was kind of like a co-writing sessions for Grayscale, where we go and we do
great
writing sessions. So like there's a handful of songs. I mean, there's plenty like across all three of the Fearless records. There's one called Talking in My Sleep that's going to be on this next record. That song I wrote with Collin. It's just yeah. So the Third Eye Blind's like, there's like the older generation of that band, and there's like two guys that are younger. So we're friends with the younger guys, but yeah, we've hung out with them.
Have you crossed paths with the older guys? The
oh yeah
of this world.
Oh yeah, for sure, many times, and they're always very kind and very sweet to us. They've always been cool. It was I told Steven when I met him actually it was in Manchester actually, at a bar. Okay. And I remember because we were playing there when we went to the bar, and I was like, I don't even remember what I said to him, but he was like, he's just a funny guy, man. Like he's just like out there, but he's such a artist and such a creative. He's like, such a huge part of the reason I ever wanted to make music and be a lyricist. So it's been cool, like, being able to tap into that camp and like know them and it's cool for sure. But yeah, Colin and I wrote a lot of songs together and bring it back to the Grayscale guys, and we kind of package it into two Grayscale songs, and we all have written like in rooms, all of us together. It's been great all those times. Yeah,
amazing. What's your favorite Third Eye Blind album?
I would say the self-titled, and then I would go self-titled, then Out of the Vein, and then Blue would probably be in that order. I really like Screamer. They put that Screamer record out a few years ago. I thought that was great too.
Yeah, that was cool.
Dopamine probably be fifth. That'd be probably my top five. You asked for my favorite, I gave you my top five.
Yeah, I feel like Dopamine's the underrated one. I feel
it's good, man. It's really good. Yeah,
it's got some tunes on it
for sure.
It's funny, man. Like, so there's a band I've started managing, and I was talking to them earlier today, and I mentioned that I was going on this call with you because I got the impression they were big Grayscale fans. I was correct, and I was like, give me some questions for Collin. So they gave me a couple of questions, which I think are quite good. So I'm gonna fire them at you if that's right. So this is Sam and Collin from the band Sharp Eyes. Check them out, by the way, man. They're obviously unbiased, but they're a very excellent band from Essex, UK.
Cool.
So Sam says, I'd very much like to know how you define what feels to him such a distinct look and feel for each kind of phase of the band, and like whether you feel like they're really defined in conceptually and visually, and if you have a vision every time you've got a new record coming out, do you have that like a particular vision for that record, or is it more part of the general sort of transition you've been?
That's a good question. I think it's all part of a continuous thing. I wouldn't say it's like, I would say we always write the music first before we have like a title or an album art or anything like that. It's always we write the songs first and pick them and record them, and then that like process comes next, picking all the visuals. So I think it's just a matter of like they're kind of just snapshots of periods of my life and experiences that I'm going through that are sort of captured in these records. I think each has a unique visual component to it that's appropriate for like what that part of my life is like.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's not premeditated in a sense. So I would say like it is, while each one is unique visually, it is a continuous growth of like continuous, like a string through it of kind of like, these are all evolving pieces of one another, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you. And so Connor, who's apparently the biggest Grayscale fan in the band, he was asking, oh yeah, so he references changing the style. I think we've addressed that, but he pinpointed that single Diamond that you put out about 4 years ago,
Yeah.
which was kind of had like disco vibes. Just saying,
Yeah.
like, would you ever delve into that sound more? Do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that was just kind of like, that was just like, we love that. My mom loves ABBA. I always listen to fucking ABBA growing up. Mom loved like, and like all kinds of disco. So I think that was just kind of like, it's COVID. We want to write a song that's like, I think the world was in a really like, felt like specifically around then, like in a shit place. And we were just like,
That's fair.
we just wanted to write something like totally different. And it was like the first time we were just like, let's do something totally different. It's not going to be on a record. It's going to be a one-off, and just kind of, so that definitely was like an outlier for sure. I think it was just like a creative itch we kind of wanted to scratch, but I wouldn't expect us to think like, I think really as the band has gone on, it's been this, like, it's us wanting to be more and more of a rock band, like leaning, like Grayscale at the end is going to be a classic rock 80s band is what's going to happen. Like
Yeah,
that's where
that's where you're slowly going. Yeah.
I think it's, and that kind of looks different because Umbra had a lot of like choir and it had a lot of strings and it was very like kind of theatrical and performative. Like, so it didn't feel like more rock and roll per se, but I think there's a lot of like, like live, more and more of like being a live band and being like a rock and roll band as things will keep going. I think this record, too, the one we're going to release whenever we release it this year, next year, who knows when I don't have a date yet, but
Okay.
the one that Dying Mum is on, it's like this one's the most organic and the most guitar driven and rock record we've ever done for sure.
Connor sneaked in the second question. He said, if you could build a super group from existing bands, what would that look like?
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go with just I don't know, man. I'd pick
That's a hard
Nick,
one, to be fair.
Dal, and Grayscale are like so ridiculously good at what they do. So I'm gonna make a rule where I can't choose them because I would choose them over again if I could. But if I had to make a new rule and it was out of existing bands of like people we've toured with and I liked, I think I'd go. There's a band called Hardcastle, and the singer's name's Graham, and he's a friend of mine. I've done sessions with him. I'd probably take
Okay.
Graham. Graham would do vocals. Damn, dude, this is tough. I don't know, man. I'd probably have Dan and Alan from 4 Years Strong, both playing
Oh,
guitar next
yeah,
to me.
yeah. They definitely know their way around the fretboard.
Yeah, just to intimidate people. Like I just have these two Boston guys next to me, and then the big Boston guys, and then I'd have dude, I don't know. This is tough, man. This is a good question. I think it'd be a combination of 4 Years Strong. It'd be a combination of the band Hardcastle and maybe some of the guys in like Boston Manor. They're a great band we tour with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just say those. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they've done so well for themselves. They came up in the same scene as me a long time ago, and then they just
Cool.
kind of transcended and just exploded.
Yeah, they're great.
Who produced your upcoming record?
We worked with Eric Palmquist and Danon Rector. So Eric did like a lot of the Bad Son stuff.
Okay.
He's done quite a few records of theirs. Danon just did like the new Boys Like Girls record. Danon was really involved in. He's like worked a lot with Charlotte Sands. They're both really good friends of ours. And yeah, we went to this we did it in Pasadena in Eric's studio. It's kind of this like quiet, like further away from LA, like this really quiet town. It was like, it wasn't, I guess it wasn't technically, it was Pasadena. It was like Alhambra, I think it was called. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. And so much of that record, the record we just did, like Not Afraid to Die specifically, was we cut the instruments live, like in a room. Like we really wanted to feel, yeah. Like
Was that first time doing that?
it was like we've done it before. We've played it live and then we've gone and cut everything. But this was the first time
Yeah.
we were like, we feel proficient enough and good enough and rehearsed enough as musicians now on in our career where we were like we're good enough now where we can use the live takes. And we were like, let's go record everything live. And then if we want to punch some things we can, but like we really want it to feel like a fucking rock band in a room. And that's why Not Afraid to Die like sounds so much like it does, is because it was cut live in a room, everybody playing at one time.
You've been over this way a few times at this point, right?
A couple times. Yeah, we did a tour way back in the day with a band called As It Is.
I mentioned the Boston Manor, like when I was playing in bands, they were very much on the same scene as us.
Cool,
So,
yeah. Then we went over with Real Friends forever ago, and we've done Slam Dunk. Oh, we were most recently back there with Ben Camino. That was the most last May.
Oh,
that
sick. Okay.
Yeah,
that must have been a good run.
It was cool, man. It was like that Roundhouse venue in London is dope. I never played it before. Beautiful venue.
Yeah. No, that's an incredible place to play. Do you have any particular UK spots that you're fond of that stand out to you more?
I love, dude. I think Manchester's sick, but I think Bristol is like consistently one of my favorite. I go and I'm like, this city is sick, dude. I love Bristol.
Bristol's cool.
Yeah,
Bristol's cool. Yeah, my sister lives there, so I go fairly often. What can you remember? What venues you played in Bristol?
We played at Thekla, the ship.
Oh yes, yeah.
But man, I think we had like an off day or two. It was like might have been the first show of might have been that Real Friends tour. I don't remember, but like we for some reason got there early, had rehearsal days, and we were in Bristol the whole time. I also like Brighton. I think that's where As It Is was from. I like that.
It is, yeah. It's where I'm from as well. Yeah, Brighton. Brighton's got lots to offer. Yeah.
So cool, yeah. But dude, I love England. I love the UK. It's always like, we always have such a good time going over there. We love Europe, UK, any of that. But yeah, a lot of good time. The Camino. I'm trying to think on the Camino tour, like what. I know that I remember London, that room being sick. Damn, what was the other one? Everything's O2 with you guys. It's like you get a man. It's like, we're playing 8 O2 academies and whatever. There's all these different, but like I feel like I can never remember the venues because everything is just an O2. So I don't know if it was whatever, but there was one of the O2s in one of the cities. It looked at all of these like bubbles, like circles, like the way the stage was. It was like this really interesting. The way the venue was laid out, it was really cool. The design of it was really cool. I'd have to look back at the ad man and figure out which one it was, but it was dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's kind of on the bucket list to tour with that you haven't toured with yet? Because you have been on the road with some big names.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I love to do like, I don't know. I mean, for me, it would be like Kings of Leon, Killers, Third Eye Blind would be one. Been trying to sneak that one in with the boys. I'm like, put in a good word for us, but
for sure, you got the in.
But but I think any of those like rock bands would be really. I'd really enjoy that. That'd be really cool. Arctic Monkeys are one of my favorite bands of all time.
Is that always been the case, or is that in recent years you got into?
No, that's like everybody has a band where they claim they're like, I heard that band first. I remember listening to Arctic Monkeys that first record, and I had this T-shirt that I ordered from like some like Rockabilia or some website, some like old that with a little penguin on it that I wore in like when I was in like 7th grade, and I remember being like, this British band, I love this British band, and then obviously now they're ridiculous household name.
They're doing okay.
Yeah, but in fact, I think I don't remember like. I think it was like I saw the Fluorescent Adolescent music video. I think that's what it was. It was probably Brainstorm, and like, yeah, dude, I just remember being obsessed in middle school, and that was one band where I just like all the way through carried every record. Like,
what about like modern artists right now? Like of the newer artists, who are you into at the minute?
I listen to a lot. I mean, Sam Fender. I like a lot of British bands. I'm not even trying to make you happy right now. But
Sam Fender. So my usual co-host on this show literally lives two streets away from Sam Fender. He's a bit of a local celebrity. My co-host based in the Northeast, as you might guess. But wow. He's an incredible artist. Yeah,
I think Sam Fender. Noah Kahan's been one I've been listening to recently as well. But I think Sam Fender's been one that's been a big like. I mean, I always liked Bruce Springsteen growing up, and I feel like that's been a cool thing to hear Sam Fender just do his thing. Like it's kind of in that same world. I really like the new Japanese house record. I was listening to a ton. Yeah, man, I think those are like kind of the main ones I've been listening to a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I think we can probably wrap this up in a sec because you're probably anxious to get and see how the video's doing and going down with the fan base. I know it's a big day for you guys, but before we finish it off, I know you got the tour with Boys Like Girls this summer.
Yeah.
Have you got any other plans that you can announce for 2024?
We got some shows, some West Coast dates with a band called Mariana's Trench. They're a Canadian
Oh,
band.
yeah. He's a huge pop songwriter. That guy that writes all the Carly Rae Jepsen stuff and all of that. Josh Ramsey. That's cool.
And I think we're just kind of taking our time figuring out like the rest of our release schedule and seeing what else we think makes sense to do. But yeah, man, all good stuff. We're really excited. We're in a good place, man. And this has been great talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time and having me.
Of course, and yeah, we appreciate it too. I know my co-host who couldn't make it today will be upset because he's been into you guys for a while. So yeah, we're delighted to have you.
Yeah, we'll do it again. If when I'm over there, we'll go to a pub or something and hang.
Yeah, definitely down for that. All right, man.
Hi, Chris.
Great to meet you.